What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Cinematic Chaos. I know it's been quite a while since I've done one of these videos, and I do apologize for that. Obviously, new channel. I'm going to be doing this series again. I kind of want to go back to reviewing movies. However, I don't know if I want to do like some of the really popular movies. I want to try to do some more like underrated movies that I really feel like deserve more attention and that I really want to talk about, that I think are actually good, or movies that I didn't like and think that are bad. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil what I probably think about this movie, because I'm going to just say I did not really enjoy this one. This is The House of the Devil from director Ty West, and I've heard of Ty West because he did a short segment in VHS, and I've heard of some of his other movies. And Ty West seems to be kind of a fairly unknown director, but some people seem to like him as sort of this, kind of independent horror director. So I figured I'd check him out, since I do think there are some pretty good hidden gems out there. Maybe this would be one of them. And immediately, I did like that the movie kind of goes for this 80s aesthetic. Like, it's set in the 80s, and it looks like an old movie. Like, they did really go out of their way to make this look like an old 80s movie. And also, the effects they add to the movie really help to make it look like... I'm not sure if it was shot on film. It might have been shot on film, but it looks like it was shot on film. Either that, or they put a bunch of filters over it. But the way everything is shot is actually pretty good. So let me just get to the premise of this movie. So basically, it's pretty straightforward. There's a woman who is hired to be like a babysitter for this creepy family in this creepy house during the night, a night where there's an eclipse happening. And basically, the more she finds out about this house, the more she takes the job, even though it sounds like it's a bad idea, but the guy offers her a lot of money. So she takes the job, and then we follow her and her friend. I'll spoil one thing. I'll just spoil the whole thing. Her friend, the only eventful thing that happens in like the first, I want to say like 20 or so odd minutes of the movie, is her friend gets killed. And we just follow this woman the rest. I'm not kidding you. Pretty much the rest of the movie, just in this house, bored. She's bored the whole movie, and she is just kind of exploring, she's exploring the house. And I get it. You want to set things up, and I actually didn't mind this. I gave the movie the benefit of the doubt when I first started watching it, because I was like, okay, you're setting this. You're setting things up, right? She's going into the rooms. She's investigating the house, and that's fine. But after that, nothing. Just, we follow her, some kind of weird stuff happens here and there, but nothing really big, no scares or anything. It's just, she's investigating the house, she's bored in the house, and none of this is cut. There is so much of this movie that could have been cut, and I would really argue this should be a 10-minute movie, because this movie is like an hour 30 minutes, and it feels like it, because there's so much padding. It's padded out when it shouldn't have been. What should have happened? Okay, so before I even get to that, so basically there's a point where and it's kind of been set up, there's something weird going on, because the person that killed the main character's friend is this creepy guy, and he's just kind of there. We don't really know what he's doing there. He's just he's the guy that, and I saw this coming too, because they give her the number of a pizza place, and she orders some pizza. And the pizza guy who delivers the pizza ends up being the same guy that killed her friend. I saw that coming because he has the exact same fucking voice. If they were trying to make that mysterious or anything, they did a terrible job, because I saw that coming a mile away. I already knew it was going to be the same guy. And of course, the pizza was, supposedly, I think the pizza was poisoned, because at one point she faints. But that's after she ends up finding, because we do see one scene where there's a bunch of bodies behind a door, and that's really the most kind of that happens that's scary in the movie up until this point. So she basically discovers that there's some weird things happening in this house, and that she needs to get out. And of course, right when she's about to, she faints, and then she wakes up and she's tied she's chained to a wall, and she's about to be sacrificed by the family turns out to be just a group of Satanists or demon worshippers or whatever, and they're trying to sacrifice her in a ritual during the eclipse. And she somehow manages to get her way out of these chains and fight her way out of the house. And then near the end of the movie, she faints and ends up in a hospital. And yeah, that's it. I'm not kidding. That's it. That's the whole fucking movie. That's the whole hour and 30 minutes of movie. There's so much they could have done. There's so many things they could have used this time for, but they decided not to. And I think I hate it. Honestly, I really think that I hate it. There are things that I really wanted to like about it. I think they did the atmosphere fairly well. I think they did, the cinematography is really good. The way it looks is great. But the story or just what happens, the scares are poor. They didn't really scare me. I seriously watched the trailer for this movie, and they put the best things in the trailer. Of course, that's typical for any trailer, but because of what I saw in the trailer, I'm like, oh, I'm all for this, because they showed like most of what happened at the end. So I was like, okay, this movie looks promising. Then I watch it, and yeah, after the first 15-20 minutes, like an hour goes by, and I'm like, there's like 30 minutes left, nothing has happened, what's going on? That's the whole movie. This movie should just be renamed to Nothing Happens the Movie. What really convinced me to watch this movie was that it had pretty good ratings on IMDb, and some other sites people were saying it was a good movie. So I was like, well, might as well check it out. And I was incredibly disappointed. And I really actually kind of want my time back. What I would say for people is maybe watch the beginning of this movie, and if you're not drawn in by it, and if you don't like it, then you're not going to like the rest of it, because they actually do spend a ridiculous amount of time in the beginning of the movie kind of going through sort of, it seemed like a day in the woman's life when she like signs up or tries to take the babysitting job, and then they just kind of go through the rest of like her daily routine. And like I kind of understood what they were trying to do, but it also felt like it was one of those things where it's like it didn't need to be that long. Like there's just a scene where she goes to wait for the guy that asked her to do the babysitting job, and he was supposed to show up somewhere, and she's just waiting there, and the whole scene, like they literally spend like 5 minutes or so of just showing her doing that, when it's like something that it's a nothing scene. In my opinion, you could have just cut that out, and she could maybe like later say, hey, I waited for this guy and he never showed up, because she does do that later. And it just seems like something there where I'm just like, so much of this could have been cut, and it could have just been a significantly shorter movie. But yeah, so don't really have much else to say about this. It was just a really disappointing movie, and I kind of wanted to talk about it because of how disappointed with it I was. But I saw it did have some potential, but at the same time, it's just like, it feels, obviously it's heavily inspired by like a lot of these horror movies from the 80s and the 70s and the 80s and all that, and I actually like that about it, because I love that time period for horror movies. And because of that, I really, really wanted to like this movie, and I just couldn't. I could not bring myself to say I enjoyed this movie. So that all being said, and me saying I really think I hate this movie, despite all the things, some of the things I did actually like about it, I was really debating between a 5 and a 4, but I feel like a 5 would kind of be too high, considering there's a lot I just did not care for about this movie. So I'm honestly just gonna have to give this one a 4. 4 out of 10. It's just not that good, and I can't really recommend it. So yeah, not that great of a movie, not that great of a horror movie. I can't really recommend this one. So let me know if you guys want to see me do some more like more underrated like horror movies or something, or whatever. But I guess I'll just really get on here whenever there's a movie I see that I really want to talk about, which is what this series was in my last on my previous channel too. But I did notice that like this series didn't get too much attention for the most part. So that's kind of why I want to sort of branch out and maybe do some more independent movies, maybe not so much the big budget Hollywood blockbusters or whatever that come out. I might do those occasionally, but I kind of want to do more of the I kind of want to focus maybe a little bit more on like independent, like or just horror movies, or Older horror movies are horror movies that are coming out now that are maybe sort of like hidden gems horror, or hidden gem horror movies, or horror movies that have potential that are not as well known, because that's probably my favorite genre of movie. I love horror movies, so I feel like I mainly want to talk about that. But again, let me know what you guys think, what direction you want to see this review series take. But yeah, until next time, I will see you all later.